Hey, it's me, the last few minutes of your run. I know that I'm not an enjoyable part of your run, and I know that it can be hard and it's easier just to stop running, but you know what could help motivate you through this final leg of your run? Listening to an episode of this podcast. Before we continue my first ever journey through the Harry Potter series, just a few quick announcements. First, just a reminder that we have another Potterless Trivia Night coming up very soon, and if you want to be a part of this trivia night, all you need to do is become a $2 or above patron. That gets you access to the Potterless Discord, and that gets you access to the trivia nights. Kevin, one of our mods at the Discord, puts together a bunch of trivia questions that are very hard, and about once a month, every few weeks, we do a little fun trivia thing. You get put into teams, you try to go against me. I'm always my own team. I usually do very poorly. You can feel good knowing, oh look, I'm better than this professional Harry Potter podcaster at Harry Potter Trivia. It's a hoot and a half. It's a fun time. If you want to get access to that and see all the other Patreon goodies that we have, head on over to patreon.com/Potterless. Also, once a year at Multitude, we put together a survey to try and help improve not only the individual podcasts, but also the entire collective as a whole. And if you want to help contribute to the 2020 survey, we would really appreciate it, and you can access it now at multitude.production/survey. It takes about 10 minutes to fill out. The questions are very simple, just asking you how you like the shows, what your listening habits are, what you like from the shows, what you think we can improve on, what you like from Multitude, what you think Multitude can improve on. These survey results really do help, and they will shape what we do over the next year. So if there are some feelings you want to get out, or there's something you would like us to do, or you just want to tell us that we're doing a good job, we love a good compliment, pat on the back, we'll take it. Just head on over to multitude.production/survey, and thank you to everyone who's already done it and everyone who chooses to do so. And speaking of thanking people, I want to thank a particular group, and that's our new patrons that we are welcoming to the team. So shout out to Kimberly, Renee Shaw, Alexandra Chandler, Brandy James, Alina Rossi, Delphina P. Gonzalez, Andy, Sarah Newgrade, Annette Pipitone, Lauren Delagardelle, Mariana Carrasco, Sarah Kay, and Joseph Prater. A pronunciation correction for Khaled Corvinelli, and a huge shout out to our new producer level patrons Emily Quinlan, Sabrina Casanova, and the return of Haley Hastings. They join the ranks of Vicky, Christine, Aaron, Clown, Marchismo, Samantha, Juan, Rosemary, Marie, Lisa, Romina, Audra, Eleanor, Nikita, Ali, Sarah, Rachel, Zachary, Orchid, Vivian the Owl, Moster, Alex, John, Noel, Brandon, Claire, Rory, Veronica, Lotta, Noah, Tracy, Colleen, Jennifer, Justin, Jacob, Maya, Mark, Polly, Zena, Harlan, Noelia, Nikki, Kine, Amanda, Kafir, Sarah, Marta, Maya, Floor, Siri, Georgia, Skyla, Edel, Professor Threat, Ellie, Michael, Kelly, Carrie, Connie, Jen, Nedry, Will, Samantha, Aurora, Marcos, Marique, Ashton, Brittany, Phelan, the Meadows family, Jenny, Heather, Brianna, Kevin, Lori, Chrissy, Jarl, Peta, Sophie, Jen, and Callahan, Leah, Melissa, Bella, Melanie, Becca, Reese, Adam, Joseph, Lily's mom, T-Run, Madison, Tonks, Sabrina, Sophia, Farzan, Melanie, Matt, Okamahime, Bony Pony, Kelsey, Rike, Taylor, Rochelle, Megan, Alicia, Riley, Laurel, Rossanne, Erica, Miranda, Landon, Kendra, Callista, Kendra, Natanya, Yogan, Darcy, Sandra, Craig, Andren, Steve, Leor, Julia, Demi, Michelle, Callista, Lovekesh, Jennifer, Crystal, Henrique, Jeremy, Delkis, Katrina, Jerica, Casey, Megan, Zat, Jack, Sophia, Dan, Rochelle, Kirsty, Robin, Chick, Mermaid, Daddykins, Aaron, Not My Daughter, Ubiacha, Laria, Lori, Gregory, Krista, Kawkaw, Nina, Ribbon, Brittany, it's definitely Ludo, Bagman, Ravenclaw, Gavin, Ashley, Grant, Aaliyah, Jack, Serenity, Steamed Nuggets, and Can't I Potter, who never plug their laptop charger into a power strip and plug it into their laptop and then not check whether or not the power strip is on in the first place. If you want to be like one of these amazing patrons and get access to bonus content, director's commentary, exclusive merchandise, and more, you can head on over to patreon.com/Potterless. But without further ado, let's get into episode 139 of Potterless, the first covering Act 2 of a Harry Potter senior year, guest starring Sequoia Simone. Hello, Internet, and welcome back to another episode of Potterless, the tale of a grown man who never read the Harry Potter series as a kid. He read them as an adult, and now he's going above and beyond to get extra credit by doing things that aren't canon. My name is Mike Schubert. I'm that boy going for extra credit, and I'm here joined today by a previous guest, a fellow Harry Potter podcaster, and generally a wonderful human being. It's Sequoia Simone from Fanatical Fics. Sequoia, how's it going?
It's so good. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me on again. I was so incredibly nervous the first time I came on. And I'm really happy to be back, especially to talk about this kind of like fandom stuff, fan fiction-y type things.
That's why the choice to have you and Kim will be on afterwards made sense, just because with your podcast, it's all about fan fiction and stuff. And this kind of feels like fan fiction's third Pokemon evolution, where it's fully realized and like, oh, wow, this is like a really big deal. This is super cool. So you feel like the perfect person to be on for these episodes.
Yeah, I consider StarKid to be some of the most prolific fanfic writers of all time.
Yeah, they're like the J.K. Rowling. Now, I'm going to pull a late night TV host and act like this is something that is completely off the cuff and not something we discussed before recording. I heard you have a little bit of a history with some Star Kid Productions and with fan-made content at LeakyCon. So do you want to talk about that? What's up with that?
Yeah.
The roots.
Yeah, absolutely. So a Harry Potter musical came out in 2009, and that was when I graduated high school.
Ooh.
And I went on to my first year of college. I was lonely. I didn't make very many friends very fast because my classes had like 300 people in them. And I was on the internet one day and I found a Harry Potter musical and I was like, wow, I love Harry Potter so much. And I'm a theater major. So clearly this is
Boom.
right up my alley. Yeah. And so I watched it. I loved it. And I went back and I was looking through all the other stuff that they had on their YouTube channel. And they had some live performances up there from Harry Potter conventions. And I was like, oh, excuse me, please hold Harry Potter conventions. Sign me up. And I literally was signed up for the next Harry Potter convention that was going to happen within like a couple of days.
Amazing.
I was so in. So really, it was the reason that I became so entrenched in the fandom was because one day I just found a Harry Potter musical and they led me to this place with conventions and Wizard Rock and all this other stuff that is sort of second nature to me at this point in my life. So I feel like I owe them a lot.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And then you were in the musical that Melissa mentioned in one of the other episodes that we did about a Harry Potter senior year. So what all was that like?
Yeah, so a Harry Potter senior year was at LeakyCon 2012, and at LeakyCon 2011, there were actually a couple of musicals. So Melissa brought up Fountain of Fair Fortune, which was one of the smaller shows. I was in the main stage show, which was called The Final Battle.
Ooh.
It was based off of the last 200 pages of Deathly Hallows. It was also written by Lena Gabrielle, who Melissa talked about, very, very talented musician. And she wrote this musical. And I played Electo Caro in it.
Was this a comedic thing? Was it a serious thing?
Oh, it was a serious thing. It was very serious.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, very serious. So I got to play like bad, big bad guy.
Mm-hmm. No redeeming qualities. Certainly racist.
Definitely tortured children, 100%. It's actually really fun to play a bad guy. So that was really cool.
It's a good time. It is very fun.
So in the play, I discover Harry Potter in the Ravenclaw Tower and summon Voldemort.
Right.
So I find him there and I press on my dark mark and then Voldemort appears on stage beside me and I got to have a duet with Voldemort.
Yo!
It was so fun. Very good.
Oh, it sounds absolutely fantastic. Well, if anyone listening didn't think you were qualified for this incredibly serious and profound podcast, now they know. You've got the credentials to talk about this spoof of Harry Potter.
That I do.
So let's get right into it. We will be discussing parts of Act 2 of a Harry Potter senior year, much shorter than Act 1. I guess that makes sense since, at least from what Melissa said, that the intermission was just mandated because everyone had to pee.
Yeah.
And not necessarily planned. So it's not like it came halfway through the show. It came to the point where everyone's bladder exploded.
Yeah, quote unquote Act 2.
So Act 2, quote unquote, opens with McGonagall and Madame Pomfrey finding Hannah Abbott petrified. And Pomfrey asks how many students that is, and McGonagall says 341.
Woo.
341. I do appreciate that from this and the head boy election, which I think had 800 votes, that they have just astronomically increased the size of Hogwarts to the point where there's no consistency, which feels very on brand because who the fuck knows how big Hogwarts is? I'm sure there is some article somewhere where they've said it, but at least in the actual books, I don't think there's anything where they're like, this is the enrollment numbers for this school.
No, you kind of have to extrapolate it from how many people are in Harry's year. And that, because then you're like, there are only a couple hundred students at this school across every year. But then again, Harry's year is also the war generation or whatever, so it's a little bit smaller. But yeah, 341 is way too many students to be petrified.
It's quite a few, and I do love that McGonagall then makes an announcement. She says that this petrification puts them over the allowed limit of 340 student casualties per year. And then she ends the announcement with "Wizard God help us all." This act in particular, they dunk on the books a lot, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I like how they say Hogwarts is no longer safe at this point when it's 341 students. Before then, perfectly safe. Definitely safe. Safest place.
Yeah, super safe. I mean, you got to draw the line somewhere, and 340 is just a nice, clean, round number. So then all of the other students come in and they're talking about the situation. And someone, I believe Julia mentioned earlier that Neville Longbottom is basically Piglet in these. And in this, he literally says, "Oh, dear." So making it very clear that Neville is definitely playing the Piglet role in this show. So Seamus is especially pissed off because Harry wrecked the greenhouse, and he has a little side thing where he says, they just blamed it on some Latina chick because they're racist, bringing back the Dora thing. And then Seamus says that the mandrake juice cures petrification, so that would have helped right now.
Yes. Historically, Dora, the only Latina at Hogwarts, as we all know.
Is there a single Hispanic person at Hogwarts? Is there anyone?
Nope.
Right? I don't think there's a single person.
There's not one, there is not one Hispanic person at Hogwarts. I looked very hard and tried my hardest to find myself within it, but no. No such luck. At least I didn't get a Cho Chang type character, you know? At least it wasn't just like Juan Gomez or whatever.
One of my favorite jokes is my buddy Steven came up with this, of saying that having Cho Chang is like having a character named Fernandez Gutierrez, or, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Look, it's my friend Rodriguez Garcia.
Yeah. Why two last names? Why did you do that? Exactly. But no, Dora definitely historically the only one.
And I'm sure that someone is literally writing an email to me right now that is saying, actually, if you look at the demographics of the United Kingdom, no one Hispanic lives there. What I will always say to this argument is like, there's no fucking wizards in the United Kingdom, so you can make it up in your giant magic book of make-em-ups, and you can make it more diverse if you want to.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit that there's not a lot of Jewish people in the United Kingdom. You can make more than Anthony Goldstein. It's not that hard.
Exactly. Nope. Right there with you.
Gosh.
Fanfic, though, has done a good job figuring that out, for sure.
Good. Thank gosh for fanfic, man. Where would we be without it?
I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Now, remind me, was mandrake juice actually what cured petrification? I know mandrakes do something. I know they can kill you if they scream, but I didn't know if this was a joke or an actual Harry Potter reference.
No, that's an actual Harry Potter reference.
Okay. I haven't reread any of the books, and book 2 would be in last place of that, or book 5 would be the last 2 I'd reread.
No, for sure. They do. And they mysteriously start with the mandrakes near the beginning of the book. And it just so happens that that's the thing that cures the petrification.
Of course.
And they've been making them the whole time.
Now, it does say mandrake juice. From the movie adaptation, mandrakes look like little plant babies. How does one juice a mandrake? Because every option is bad.
Yeah.
Juicing it out of their little plant nipples is bad. Mm-hmm. Blending them down is bad. Mm-hmm. There's no good way to liquefy what looks like a human made out of soil.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they have to have matured first in order to.
Oh, good. So
work.
they're toddlers. That makes it
exactly.
better.
they're like preteens.
Oh my gosh. Yep. So much better. So much better. Oh man, preteens, puberty. It's right there. That's how you juice it. I was trying to avoid it, but it's unavoidable.
Sorry.
This is what happens when you bring the fanfic person. There's got to be mandrake fanfic, right? Where the mandrakes fuck, right?
There is fan fiction for literally everything you could possibly think of.
Is that like Rule 34-A?
Yes.
So Luna brings up that in addition to the mandrake juice, you could also kill the monster, and that would break the petrification charm.
Interesting.
And yep, sure, that's how magic works. Why not?
Fine.
That seems about right. And Ron then stands up for for Harry, saying Harry could have been the one to do this. He gets mad at Seamus and everybody else. And then he just starts laundry listing all of the ways that Harry has saved all of the kids, some of which are book canonical things. Some things are just ridiculous out of nowhere things, which is fantastic. And my favorite is when he brings up that in their 4th year, Harry saved them all from Karkaroff and mentions the Triwizard Tournament, and then quick turns to the audience and goes, not to be confused with the House Cup Tournament, which I love a good callback to their first play. So I appreciated that. And so did the crowd.
Yeah, there's a lot of great callbacks to the first one and the second act. They really went hard in on that.
Yes. I mean, you're doing the third thing. The third movie book installment in a trilogy has just got to be the big old fan service thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what you got to do. It's like in John Wick 3, spoiler alert. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a point where he kills a dude with a horse. Like, yep, we're in John Wick 3. That's what we're doing now. We're killing people with horses.
Amazing.
Ron at one point then says, Luna, what did you do when the Carrows said to use the Cruciatus curse against Neville? And Luna says, ask if I could use the killing curse? And then Ron goes, mm-hmm. And I don't think that there was really a point to this, but I do appreciate that Luna is just become this ridiculous non-Luna character, and it's wonderful.
Listen, Dark Luna is actually a really big fanfic vibe.
Okay. Inspired by this or just completely different, where let's turn Luna into a very different version than book Luna?
I think just separate from this for sure. I think it's something people like to do for fun, to make Luna into like a bad guy or into like, I don't know, a murderer or somebody who does a lot of really weird dark magic. That happens a bunch.
Okay.
So I definitely saw some like fan fiction vibes in here that I was really digging. I was like, yes, Dark Luna, she's here.
So Draco comes rolling in on the trolley, which is cart with Goyle, and Draco says that they are open for questions, concerns, praise, and worship. And then all of the kids, which I love this recurring Star Kid bit of just saying whatever the stage direction is. Like every time someone is supposed to gasp, they just say gasp. So in this case, they all just say rabble, 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 rabble.
It's so good.
And Draco immediately stops it and says, hey, none of that sounded like worship. So Dean asks Seamus what Draco's plan is, and Draco says that they have a 4-step plan. Step 1, watch mudbloods get petrified. Step 2, laugh and repeat. I'm guessing the joke is that there's only 2 steps in this plan.
Yeah, I mean, is there 3 steps? Is repeat the 3rd step?
I was wondering. Regardless, there are distinctly not 4 steps in this 4-step plan.
Which is very classic Draco, a very Potter Draco. Mm-hmm. Lord Lopez is absolutely a gift. Mm-hmm. And also physical comedy. She just does such a great job with it. Coming in on the cart and the way that she like moves around the cart and gets off it and gets on it is just like those beautiful comedic moments. Oh, she's so good. She doesn't do a lot of rolling, so she kind of had to do something else this time.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of rolling around and flopping around in A Very Potter Senior Year, but they get into some of those similar vibes with the cart here, like you mentioned. And then later on, there's a part where she tries to get back onto the cart and flops around a bit, struggles to get on, and the crowd just eats it up because they've been waiting for this moment for so long. And I was waiting for it too. I was so happy.
It was good payoff.
So Ron then steps up to Malfoy, and Draco says, oh, why don't you cry about it to one of your 2 girlfriends? And then Ron lets out a gasp where he just says gasp. Hermione is upset, and then Ron is apologizing, but then he kind of gets upset and tries to justify it with the lack of kissing thing. And Hermione reminds him that she wanted to save themselves until marriage, which is what she got sorted by Scarfy. And then she says, sorry if I wanted our next kiss to be on our wedding day, which,
oh, geez,
you know.
It's kind of a weird way to make Hermione like a prude, I guess.
I don't know what they were going for here with Hermione. Like, it wasn't something really established in the first 2. So I don't understand why.
Yeah, I mean.
Wait. Hold on. She makes out with Ron all ridiculous like in one of the first 2. So where is this coming from?
Yeah, that's a really good moment from the first one. And it's insinuated that they had their first kiss, but she's not going to kiss him again until their wedding day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I guess it just feels like a plot device so that they could do it, but they didn't necessarily recall. Yes, they licked each other's faces all over the place in a previous iteration of the musical. musical.
Yeah, it was a weird way to make them like have a rough time as a couple.
So Hermione cries, Ron leaves, and Draco tries to console Hermione, saying, if you want someone to talk to or just have comforting sex with, you can always come to me.
Wasn't he paying attention?
Not really. I guess not. Hermione says, in your dreams, Malfoy, and Malfoy immediately replies, filthy mudblood. And that is when Malfoy struggles to get back on the cart and the crowd just goes bananas.
I like that they make it like he just said filthy mudblood. He just said a horrible thing and then is actively doing something ridiculous that makes him look really stupid afterwards. Like, I really like
Perfect.
that.
Mwah, so good. Cho then goes over to Hermione and gives her some advice to re-cheat on Ron with someone that he hates. So Hermione asks out loud, who does Ron hate other than Malfoy? And then McGonagall enters saying that Professor Lockhart is looking for Hermione, and the crowd and me at home let out an audible,
me too.
because you know what's coming. And based on what happened in a Harry Potter sequel, there was the whole Cho Chang Lupin stuff. And I just really was hoping that we wouldn't have to get back to a teacher-student joke because these are children in the school. But thankfully, the scene that happens next is perfection.
Yeah.
It is wonderful.
I was so worried when they said this. I was so worried. I was like, what are we going to have to get into next? What am I going to have to talk about on this podcast? And then it just and then it just turned out to be actually pretty funny.
It was perfect. And not only was it a great play on this situation as a whole, but also because it's been established that Hermione loves fan fiction and she tries to use these fan fiction principles in these next scene, and Gilderoy is just either oblivious or shooting it down or both. It's very well done and I very much appreciated it.
Oh, for sure.
This next scene is Hermione in Gilderoy's office, and at first he seems to praise Hermione for the Harry Potter essays that she has given to him, but then he goes in and says that they're garbage and they're horrible. So then Hermione looks off into the distance and goes, this is just like one of my fanfics. I know what to do. So she goes back to Gilderoy and then tries to play the, student getting with the teacher thing and says, Gilderoy, scold me. Teach me a lesson I'll never forget. And Gilderoy at first seems like he's playing along. He goes, I intend to do just that. And then he says, your dramatic flow here is all off. And I was like, yes, thank you so much.
Woo!
I love this misdirect.
Yes, we're missing
Big
it.
sigh of relief. So it goes on about her dramatic flow. Then it's just this back and forth of him giving her legitimate writing and storytelling advice, and then Hermione taking whatever he says and turning it sexual. So there's a point where he says all the actions in the beginning, there's not a really good climax moment, and then Hermione says, I bet you know how to make things climax really well. Then Gilderoy says that the final duel with Voldemort is boring, and this is where it's a great criticism. This is where they actually start getting into JK, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
He says that the final fight with Voldemort is boring because it's just the reflection charm, but quote, hopefully I've killed enough side characters to make some people cry, which is real good. It's really good. And it's something I notice is like, rather than kill off one of the main characters, which I think she should have done, as much as I hate to admit it, I think she should have killed Ginny if you really wanted to gut punch people the most.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Ron seems like the obvious choice. I think Ginny would be the most heartbreaking choice. But yeah, it did seem like rather than kill a main character, she was like, what if I just killed 8 side characters?
Yeah, like a lot of them. It was really sad, for sure. But
it's like the easy way out sad.
Oh, for sure.
It felt especially egregious when she killed Lupin and Tonks, and there's noted me on the podcast, audio evidence of me saying, there's no way she'll kill both Lupin and Tonks. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then she did. So I very much appreciated that they made this joke, and the crowd seemed to love it too, which is good.
Oh, yeah. I think, both Lupin and Tonks is super, super egregious, but they make a lot of really good sort of criticisms of what she wrote in this play. I love that one. I love that they're like, you gotta have the big bad guy to the very end of the series. Like, this is very good.
There's a couple of jokes where they have about Voldemort and the fact that he keeps coming back and he's a bad guy in different parts. And I just, this is what I love about this particular play and this scene. And I haven't even finished all of Act 2 yet, but this scene is what cemented this one of my favorite of the three, just because I think it is the most critical and most inside baseball-y, and it gives me the most Puffs vibes. And I just really appreciate when they do jokes like this that everyone can appreciate, and it doesn't make anyone feel bad, and there's no poor way to interpret it, unless you're J.K. Rowling, I guess, but, who cares?
Yeah.
So I very much appreciated jokes like this. And, of course, right after he says, some people would cry, Hermione replies, "You could make me cry. My eyes are already wet, and that's not all."
Oh, my God.
I'm very glad that Melissa and Ellie was on earlier to put in perspective that the average age of a LeakyCon attendee in 2012 is very different from the ones that I've been to, because I've only been to the most recent 3, and it's a very young crowd.
Yes.
So it makes me feel a lot better knowing that most of these people are probably our age-ish, like late 20s, early 30s, mid-early 20s, like old enough to laugh at these jokes, because let me tell you, I think these were the loudest roars of laughter and applause of any joke. But it makes sense because it's all about fanfic, and these are the type of people that love fanfic. It makes sense.
Exactly. I love that Hermione writes fan fiction in this. It's so good. And these are like very, like if you were writing a parody of like a smutty fan fiction, this is exactly what that would look like.
Yeah. How often do you run into these kinds of scenes, especially since you're doing Harry Potter and it's school? I feel like the easiest thing to do is that, "Ooh, I've been a bad student."
Oh my God.
Does that come up all of the time?
I actively try to avoid it because it makes me vomit. But
it should. It should.
Yeah, it's not okay. But there is a lot of stuff like this, especially like back in the day when we're reading. Like if you go back into 2004 to 2007, there's some really weird shit happening in fan fiction. We actively, in our podcast, we actively avoid teacher-student relationships because they are, even if it's like kind of a funny, ridiculous experience, they are extremely not okay and uncomfortable. But this one is just because he's like completely oblivious to these things, and she is being so blatant. I like the point where she unbuttons one of her buttons. That's probably my favorite part.
Not even one button. It's one button of her cardigan, which is on top of her fully buttoned up button-down shirt with a tie on.
It was like very on point, but most of it is like really blatant, and him ignoring it is pretty funny.
It's great. It's a really fun dynamic. I think it's a great way to make fun of this trope, and I really appreciated it. So then it continues, and Gilderoy asks, "Why aren't any of the characters dogs? Do you have any idea how many people in the world are dogs?" Which,
what?
Yeah, big what? At first I was like, there's no way this is some like next level joke about anything. This has to, I was trying to like galaxy brain what the joke was, but I think it's just him being obnoxious.
Yeah. You know how many people are dogs? No. I don't.
And then, of course, Hermione says, "Maybe you could teach me a thing or two about doggy style, Professor."
Man.
And he's just not biting at all, which is absolutely fantastic. He says that he went on and he says, "I turned one of the less important characters, Sirius Black, into a dog. And I have also turned McGonagall into a fancy cat. And Pettigrew, we share a like mind, into a mouse." And at first I was like, him and Pettigrew, like mind, mouse. I guess mouse is just because of rat. But then we learn in a little bit what is going on with him and mouse, and didn't see it coming.
Oh my God,
and
it's so good.
I can't even express into words how wonderful it is.
So good.
So Gilderoy has Hermione sign a release form so that he has all the rights to the Harry Potter essays, and she's just agreeing with it because Hermione just wants to try to get him to, be interested in her so that they can get back at Ron. And Hermione tries to go forward with this, asking, "What are your fantasies?" And she says, "If you could do anything right now, who would it be?" And then this is when she very much struggles to unbutton just the first top button of her cardigan. And then when she finally gets it undone, the look on the actress's face, I believe her name is Meredith, the look on her face when she finally gets it done is just like, yeah, hell yeah, I nailed it. And it's so good. She's so satisfied.
She's so funny.
Very good. So Gilderoy then looks into the middle distance and says that his fantasy is that he would shrink himself to the size of a mouse and live amongst the mice, and he would bring technology and art to them, and he would build tools for them. Quote, "I'd be their king, nay, their prince, Gilderoy the Mouse Prince."
The way he delivers this line is just like impeccable. Though staring off into the middle distance is very good.
Camera work is really solid too. It reminds me of when they slowly zoomed in on Hagrid when he was giving his really serious and sad pep talk.
Yeah, it's very good, very funny. I would really love this fan fiction to exist where Gilderoy Lockhart does shrink himself down to the size of a mouse and become the Mouse Prince.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of need that.
Oh, for sure. I would assume that at this point, with how big Starkid is, that like someone has done this.
Gotta be
Someone
there.
has to have written Gilderoy the Mouse Prince. The other just tiny thing of saying he would be their king, nay, their prince, just to go down in the hierarchy is very good. And I really appreciated just that tiny little line in there.
What a great choice. I do like when he starts talking about the Frog Wars.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he looks very like traumatized by all of the death of the mice in the Frog Wars.
It's just so perfect because he first says this and he looks very serious and just longing of this is my fantasy and just big wide-eyed. And then he starts talking about how he would have 3 mouse wives and 12 mice concubines, and he looks really happy and excited. And then, yeah, the quick cut of his face from excited about this to horrified about the prospect of the deaths in the Frog Wars, which he calls out explicitly. It's just, gosh, this guy
So well
is
done.
a very, very solid actor. And it's no surprise, as I think Melissa said, that he's gone on to do some bigger things on Broadway, off-Broadway, whatever.
Yeah, very good.
Very good indeed. Hey, it's me editing Mike. Past Sequoia and past Mike. You know what else is very good? Keeping this show running and keeping it afloat. So we've got to take a break in order to keep it afloat in a little segment we like to call Wingardium Adridosa. Today's episode of Potterless is brought to you by Sleep Cycle. Let's say hypothetically that you are Harry Potter in a Harry Potter musical and you just lost the head boy election and you're mad at your friends, and these are all things that are contributing to your sleep situation not being the best. You want to track things and be on top of it so you can make sure that you are getting enough sleep so that you are ready to attack the stressful days ahead of you. How are you going to do this? You're going to use Sleep Cycle. Sleep Cycle is the app to help you improve your sleep. It tracks and analyzes your sleep and it helps you wake up. There's both a free version and a premium version with extra features. Using Sleep Cycle is very simple. All you got to do is turn on the app when you're getting ready to go to sleep. You plug it in so that your phone doesn't die overnight, and then it monitors your sleep, how long you were asleep, how many times you got up in the middle of the night, how restful your sleep was. And if you're a premium member, you can use the wake up window, which is a feature where Sleep Cycle knows when you are in the best situation to wake up. You give them a time range of when you can wake up, and they monitor what the best time to wake you up is so that you feel the most relaxed and refreshed. This is amazing, and I love it. Also, if you need help falling asleep, they have another premium feature called the Sleep Aid. This program has meditation guides, stories, music, ASMR sounds, landscape ambiances, whatever you need to help you fall asleep quickly and soundly. And Sleep Cycle knows what's up. They have been around for over a decade, which is eons in the app world, and they base everything they do on hundreds of millions of nights of sleep that they've been able to analyze and algorithms that they have perfected over the years. So if you want to start improving your sleep for free, you can download Sleep Cycle at sleepcycle.com/Potterless today. And when you go to sleepcycle.com/Potterless, you will also get access to Sleep Cycle Premium for 7 days absolutely free. Again, that's sleepcycle.com/Potterless. Start improving your sleep tonight. Try out Sleep Cycle Premium for 7 days, see how you feel about it, and just improve your sleep situation as you try to deal with all of these other wild things happening during your senior year at Hogwarts today. Today's episode of Potterless is also brought to you by HelloFresh. Let's say hypothetically that you're Harry Potter in a Harry Potter senior year and you've just left the school. You don't have access to the cafeteria anymore, but you still get hungry because you're a growing boy. How are you going to make food for yourself? You're going to get it delivered to you with HelloFresh. HelloFresh sends you mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. It's America's #1 meal kit. There's something for everyone, including low-calorie meals, vegetarian meals, and family-friendly recipes every week. And HelloFresh cuts out stressful meal planning and grocery store trips so you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in about 30 minutes, or they even have some 20-minute meals if you're really short on time. And not only do HelloFresh's pre-portioned ingredients mean that there's less prep for you, but also there's less food waste. Also in 2019, HelloFresh donated over 2.5 million meals, and this year they're stepping up their food donations amid the coronavirus crisis. I've made some fantastic meals with HelloFresh. I really enjoy their Korean bibimbap bowl, especially because I had no idea how to make this before, and I'd ordered it at restaurants, and then now, with the knowledge of HelloFresh, I can make it on my own, and I really appreciate having this knowledge, and I also appreciated eating it because it tasted delicious. So if this sounds interesting to to you, you are in luck, because as a Potterless listener, if you go to hellofresh.com/80Potterless and use code 80Potterless, you'll get a total of $80 off, including free shipping on your first box. Additional restrictions apply. Please visit hellofresh.com for more details. Again, this is a new code, hellofresh.com/80Potterless, and use the code 80Potterless at checkout to get $80 off. So go to hellofresh.com/80Potterless, use the code 80Potterless at checkout, get food delivered to you, and save money while you are away from Hogwarts and away from the cafeteria today. So Gilderoy then snaps out of it and realizes that he has been monologuing and didn't realize that Hermione was still there, kind of yells at her and then says, "Get out of here." And then he falls asleep abruptly.
Weird.
And Ginny then walks in. She is possessed. She starts walking around and Hermione recognizes that something is wrong, follows her off stage, and then, in a surprising twist, makes The Little Mermaid reference, and in a very poor Sebastian voice says, "What is that girl up to?" Which...
And then does the little clacking.
Crab noises, as it was stated in the YouTube closed captioning. Sure, Star Kid, I guess.
I mean, are they just saying that Ginny looks like Ariel because she has red hair? Is that it?
Or maybe? I mean, it is
sure.
a very red wig. Like, it's not red hair red. It is just the color red. So maybe,
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
It was an interesting way to go. I feel like a lot of this musical feels to me like a bunch of them sat in a room and had ideas. Everybody put their ideas up on the board, and then we didn't take any ideas down from the board. Like everything stayed, including this kind of weird little mermaid thing.
But, we just move on, and it's Voldemort with possessed Ginny looking for the resurrection stone, and Hermione enters, and Voldemort gets scared and goes, "Oh shit," and runs away and hides behind Ginny. And then he says, "I forgot. She can't see me until she touches the notebook. Just the same rules as Death Note." Now, I know that Death Note exists, and I'm pretty sure it had a Netflix series that everybody hated, but that's kind of where it ends. I know it's a book where you write someone's name in it and then they die. Are you involved, or did you know Death Note at all? Are you a fan?
Oh, no. I don't know anything about Death Note.
Well, all of the noties out there, please don't email me about it. I am not going to watch it. I'm just going to lay it straight out there. If I'm not watching it. I don't have enough time to watch basketball. I'm not going to watch anime series that I'm not... If I'm going to watch an anime series, it's going to be One Punch Man, because someone told me that the guy just does 100 sit-ups and 100 push-ups, and I think runs either a 10K or 10 miles a day, and that's how he became a superhero. I can get on board with that. But I'm not touching like Inuyasha's reboot or whatever Twitter tells me is coming back.
Yeah, I've never seen anime in my life, I don't think.
Unless Pokemon the original counts, because I watched every episode of that and I cried my fucking eyes out at the Butterfree episode. You're damn right.
Yeah, if Pokemon counts, then yeah, I have seen some anime.
I also have heard there's a basketball one that I've seen some clips from, so that could also pique my interest.
That's how you get Mike Schubert every time.
I mean,
basketball.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. If someone says, "Hey, you should check out this thing," all right, yeah, they play basketball in it.
You're like,
Huh? You had me at basketball.
Amazing.
So Hermione realizes that Ginny's been acting strange ever since she got the diary, so she takes it from Ginny, and she immediately, upon receiving the diary, and I was hoping, once she grabbed it, I thought, please let her just figure out the name thing. And immediately she grabs it and goes, "Tom Marvolo Riddle, if you take this letter and you move it," and I just screamed, yes. So she does the letter thing, and I wasn't expecting this to come, and it was such a great surprise. She goes, "This says, am I Lord Voldemort?"
I legitimately laughed so hard I started crying.
It's so good, because I always thought this name letter trick was so forced. And the fact that you had to add "I am" to the beginning of it.
In order to make it work? Yeah.
Right, in order to make it work. I just love that they ended up doing this here too. It's,
yeah.
Man. The other thing that's so weird, and I'm just now realizing it, is that the A and the M, I guess it's the I is why she did it. It's
the I's in Riddle. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, the A and the M are from Marvolo. Why have you done this? But yeah, then it would be like, I mean, we've all seen iRobot starring Will Smith. It could just be I, Lord Voldemort.
It's true. I definitely feel like she saw that she could do it. Like she was like, oh, if I just add these random other letters, I could make this work. And instead of being like, that's a bit much, she was like, you know what? I'll go for it.
Let's just give them the silliest middle name ever, and that'll be fine. I'm also just going to Google, because Lord Voldemort came first, right?
Yes.
I'm just going to Google Lord Nope. I don't know if you have this on your iPhone. I always touch the period instead of the space bar when I'm trying to type stuff in. When I'm in the Safari browser, I guess when I hit space, it's just right where the period lives. So every time I Google something, it's like Lord.Voldemort, and then they're like, that's not a website.
My website to be .Voldemort.
What's it? Is it an anagram? I just want an actual thing without Morvolo. Anagram maker. Anagram solver. Find all available words. Your letters. Lord Voldemort. Okay, now I touch the question mark. So it says Lord Voldemort. Oh no, when you hit space on this website, it makes a question mark. Because that works. Lord question mark Voldemort. Search. It's not doing what I want. Damn it.
Damn you, anagram maker.
It just gives me, all right, maybe it's not. Let me just see. You could do, Tom is there, but then I guess you just couldn't do Riddle. You could just make up some other last name that's just really funky.
Yeah, because it's not like the middle name wasn't funky.
Yeah, like it could just be like Roddl. Oh, baby. Does this work? This might work. I think I might have improved Harry Potter. You could just make him Tom Roddollver. Roddollver. It feels like that could be a British name.
Yeah.
That could be a new co-host on the Great British Bake Off. Oh, look, it's Paul Hollywood and Tom Roddollver.
No, that totally works.
Yeah, what the fuck, JK?
Why is it necessary to say I am?
We gotta make his last name Riddle because he's a puzzle.
I mean, you also think like, of course, okay, so his name was Tom Riddle. And then he came up with his new Lord name based off of the letters in the name he already had.
She wanted to make the name Tom Riddle. You're just giving yourself extra hoops to jump through, and now we have this absurd middle name of Morvolo.
It's like the chicken and the egg.
Oh, gosh.
I love that they said, am I Lord Voldemort? So much.
And then the next follow-up line is Voldemort goes, no, I am. And this next set of lines is just so funny because I think it perfectly encapsulates Voldemort's presence across the series. Hermione goes, but you're dead. And then Voldemort waits a beat and just goes, nope. That is Harry Potter summed up. That is the summary of the series is Voldemort, you're dead. Nope.
This is very, very good.
It's so funny. It's really, really solid. This particular chunk, the Gilderoy thing, then this is just, gosh, very, very, very funny.
It's perfect, like, taking from the text and making parody out of the text instead of, like, a lot of the things that they do that are just, like, off the rails, which is also really fun. I love the stuff that takes the text and turns it into a parody of itself.
It's really solid. So Hermione says that this doesn't make any sense because Dumbledore killed all of the Horcruxes, and Voldemort says, oh, we missed one, and Hermione goes, the diary, and he goes, that's right, the journal.
That's a good bit.
Not backing down. It's perfect.
I love that bit.
So Hermione asks, then what's this whole thing with the monster in the Chamber of Secrets? And Voldemort goes, oh, it's just a red herring so that I can find the stone. And I do appreciate that I've given Star Kids some flack for their timeline being all discombobulated and stuff, but I do appreciate making villain from book 2 a red herring so that the actual plan of book 7 can exist. I think it was a creative workaround.
Yeah, no, I liked that a lot. I also love that he just says it's a red herring. Very funny.
Yeah, especially again, it's a very JK critique-y, poke fun at type thing.
Oh yeah,
because she loves red herrings, as I'm incredibly well aware.
Oh really?
Yes. I don't know if you've ever listened to this podcast called Potterless before, but it's about a grown man on a deranged rambling, blaming a character that wasn't even deemed important enough to be in the films. Ay, ay. So Voldemort has Ginny summon the giant snake, and her summoning, I'm going to have to do either a GIF or screenshots of it and put it somewhere on the social media. But the way that she summons the snake is she just goes, she literally looks like a person possessed, like full-blown exorcism, and just goes like, and And it's also funny just because the framing of it in the YouTube video is that it doesn't zoom in on her face.
Yeah.
She's off to the side behind Voldemort, so you kind of have to look a little bit, and it's semi out of focus, and it just makes it that much funnier.
Yeah, and the audience is eating it up, which is so fun too. She does some really good physical comedy bits. Even her just like walking around being possessed.
Oh yeah.
Also very funny.
It's some good stuff. Okay, so at this point, we've discussed quite a bit of A Very Potter Senior Year, and, of course, some tangents, but that's what makes the podcast a podcast. Without the tangents, it would just be Spark Notes the podcast. So I don't know what people want from you. You didn't talk about the play enough. Why are you here? Just watch the play if you like.
Got him.
So, Sequoia, thank you so much for joining. How'd you feel about these beginning parts of Act 2 of A Very Potter Senior Year?
Great. As, people might have learned from this episode from me, or people might know of me, I love fan fiction. And this is just one long, amazing parody fan fiction. So, of course, I love it. And then in it, Hermione's writing fan fiction. So it really couldn't get better than this, honestly. I love it.
The Venn diagram of your wheelhouse and this play is just a circle.
Exactly.
And it's perfect. So if people want to find you doing stuff on the internet podcast-wise, where can they do so?
You can find my podcast, Fanatical, Fics, and where to find them. A Harry Potter fanfiction podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. Or you can find us on social media at Fanatical Fics. You can find me on Twitter at Saskoya or on Instagram or Facebook at Sequoia Simone.
Woo! Well, thank you so much for joining. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, as they say in the wizarding world of Harry Potter, when they're trying to seduce their very bad Defense Against the Dark Arts professor, a wizard on. Hey, as I mentioned in the beginning of the episode, we are doing the annual survey for Multitude, where you can give us feedback about the individual podcasts as well as the collective as a whole. These survey results really do help, so if you have 10 minutes to spare, please head on over to multitude.production/survey. Potterless was created by Mike Schubert, it is hosted by Mike Schubert, it is edited by Mike Schubert, it is produced by Mike Schubert, as well as Vicky Garcia, Christine, Aaron Johnson, Klaus Lopu, Marchismo, Samantha Rose, Juan Sanfeliu, Rosemary Dodge, Maria Lisa C. Keen, Romina Rivadeneira, Audra, Eleanor Curlin, Nikita Power, Ali Madsen, Sarah Nink, Rachel Guthrie, Zachary Pulido, Orchid Grower, Vivian the Owl, Moster, Alex Consulver, John Cocker, Noel Basolet, Brandon Pickens, Claire Spencer, Rory Collier, Veronica Bartova, Lotta Bartova, Noah, Tracy Toya, Colleen, Jennifer Marklew, Justin Montero, Jacob Parrish, Maya Gray, Mark Body, Polly Burridge, Zena Rezanowski, Harlan Haskins, Noelia, Nikki Harris, Kine, Amanda Alford, Kafir Shaltiel, Sarah Shatter, Marta Morrison, Maya, Floor Sake, Siri Scarisford, Georgia Davis, Skyla Lily, Edel Ryan, Professor Threat, Ellie Hoskov-Chova, Michael David Yordi, Kelly Otilio, Kerry Crumpler, Connie Beankowski, Jen Went, Nedry OS, Will Huser, Samantha Lentz, Aurora Fruhoff, Marco Cepeda, Marie Krieger, Ashton Gabrielson, Brittany Gutierrez, Phelan, The Meadows Family, Ginny from the Block, Heather Langeal, Brianna Cusimano, Kevin Stewart, Lori McDonald, Chrissy Tew, Jarl Sviven, Peter McGrath, Sophie Duda, Jen and Rose Dab, Callahan and Darius, Leah Reed, Melissa Rob, Bella Barlack, Melanie Demi, Becca Spry, Reese Dignan, Adam Graham, Joseph Torp, Lily's mom, T-Run Money, Madison, Don't Call Me an Infidora, Sabrina Balsiger, Sophia Loves Pigs, Farzan Jarabat, Melanie DeGrave, Matt Barger, Okamahime, Bony Pony, Kelsey Gillespie, Rike Mangor Jensen, Taylor Payne, Rachel Mobbs, Megan Moon, Alicia Chapman, Riley Kiddas, Laurel Happy, Rossann Batamana, Eric Butler, Miranda, Landon Schwausch, Kendra Hertz, Natanya Page, Yogan Shanley, Darcy Alexander Harrison, Sandra Rose, Craig McRoberts, Andren Kaufman, Steve Trelaw, Leo Nachum, Julia Buzak, Demi Lynn, Michelle Spurgeon, Callista Delano, Lavkesh Longer, Jennifer Terzian, Crystal Pollard, Henrique Wolf, Jeremy Elmore, Delkis, Katrina Smith, Jerica Law, Casey Canales, Megan Stempen, Zat, Jack Skitzes, Sophia Lyon, Dane Nemcher, Rochelle Unatmaz, Kirsty, Robin Garcia, Chick Parm, Mermaid and her Daddykins, Aaron Ugas, Not My Daughter, You Biatch, Ilaria Vicentin, Lori, Gregory Hughes, Crystal Lee, Caw Mother Feathers, Nina Jazalek, Ribbon Monstrosity, Brittany Harper, It's Definitely Ludo Bagman, Ashley Sommers, Grant Sohn, Your Friendly Neighborhood Ravenclaw, Gavin Miller, Aaliyah Eltar Shobi, Jack Parr, Serenity Allen, Emily Quinlan, Haley Hastings, Sabrina Casanova, Steamed Nuggets, and Can't I Potter? Web design by Kelly Schubert, and the music is by Bettina Campamontes. If you want to find us on social media, you can at facebook.com/Potterless, twitter.com/PotterlessPod, instagram.com/PotterlessPodcast, and reddit.com/r/Potterless. For any and all information about the show, you can go to PotterlessPodcast.com. For bonus content, you go to patreon.com/Potterless, and for merch, you can go to PotterlessPodcast.com/merch. If you want to tell someone about the show, whether you reach out directly or you leave a rating and review online, those really do help. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, as they say in the wizarding world of Harry Potter, wizard on!